What's up, Geeks and Gamers? It's Odin coming with a box office breakdown for this weekend, which saw Top Gun Maverick completely annihilate the box office both domestically and internationally, setting potentially some records for the Memorial Day weekend. At the very least, it is a best opening career weekend for Tom Cruise. The film making $248 million worldwide, $124 million of that coming from the international market, which means another about $124 million coming from the domestic. So very impressive numbers to say the least. And it is also being put up against other films Memorial Day weekends. It is, of course, important to always remember that the numbers that they put out there are numbers that are not adjusted for inflation, which I think personally is the most accurate way to be able to actually talk about those records in any sense of the word. But let's go ahead and dive into these numbers. As we have this article from Deadline that it is indeed buzzing through 62 international markets, landing around 124 million. This includes previews and is the best overseas launch ever for Tom Cruise on a like-for-like basis, surpassing Mission Impossible's Fallout by 28%. Domestic through Sunday, the global is around $248 million, and obviously there's going to be another bump tomorrow, with many people being off for the Memorial Day weekend. By the way, shout out to all those who have served our country. In 32 markets, this is Cruise's biggest opening, and in 18 is Paramount's best for live-action titles. Overall, it's the second biggest opening weekend for a live-action Paramount picture, behind only Transformers Age of Extinction, which is kind of sad when everything is said and done. It then goes into all of the different markets that this film currently is out in, and what I can say is that the film has yet to open in China, has yet to open anywhere, has not also, of course, opened in Russia. But what I do find interesting is that when you go to the IMDb page for this film, there is no China release date, and there isn't even a Chinese title. There is, however, a Taiwanese title, which I think is quite interesting. Looking at the actual box office numbers themselves, Top Gun Maverick, again, completely annihilating the box office this weekend, making $124 million at over 4,700 screens. Again, a massive amount of screens. This film, by the way, is fantastic. I highly recommend it. I know that a lot of us here on the Geeks and Gamers team really enjoyed this film, and it is a film definitely worth seeing, and also I think personally is a perfect film for Memorial Day weekend, and that's just my own personal thought on that. Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness came in at second place, dropping another 49%, starting to drop out of some theaters. However, it is still doing pretty well. It's made over $200+ million in net gain and net profits. It is slowing down to the point where $1 billion is starting to become in question. Some of the experts, or so-called experts, have said that they see this film capping out somewhere around $950 million, which would be on the lower end of the scale that I had originally pointed out, though I do think it will get a little bit closer to $1 billion. But with films like Top Gun Maverick providing very good competition, especially since it's a good film in comparison to Doctor Strange 2, then we could potentially see, especially as Jurassic World Dominion's set to come out in a couple weeks and other films set to come out, that this movie might end up dropping off enough for it to be able to not reach that $1 billion mark. The Bob's Burgers movie, the movie that everyone was waiting for, made $12.6 million. No budget on this film, so really can't say exactly how this movie is doing. Downton Abbey 2, in its second weekend of release, dropped around 63%, making another $5.9 million. It is in a good position to make its money back, though it is definitely not doing as well as the original did. And then rounding out the top 5 is The Bad Guys, which broke even last weekend and has now started to make some profits. 25% hold from the previous week. Very strong numbers there. You also have Sonic the Hedgehog 2 in the discussion, holding 38%. And one of my favorite films of the year, Everything Everywhere All at Once, the superior multiverse film, holding 20% from the previous week, but it's been out for 10 weeks at this point, and is still at over around 1,000 screens. It's had the weirdest release schedule of all time, but it has now officially hit its break-even point and is already available for pre-order on 4K and stuff like that. And hey, I personally want them to do a steelbook for it because I think it would look phenomenal. Anyway, the numbers have not updated the international for Top Gun Maverick. So again, the 124 million internationally has not been yet added to these numbers. So this film is around 248 million. Doctor Strange, with its updated numbers, is around 868 million. So that's why I do still see the potential for this film to make a minimum of $900 million and a maximum of $1.1 billion. Somewhere in that range, this film is going to land, though I think it'll be closer to the $1 billion mark personally, just again based on early metrics. The Bob's Burgers film has made $13.3 million worldwide, while Men, in its second week of release, has still not made a lot of anything. And based on certain reviews and comments on the story, it looks like this film went really woke, which is sad because Alex Garland did the film Ex Machina, which was fantastic. And this film is just apparently all about this woman being haunted by a bunch of men and is supposed to be like a commentary on that or something. And I don't understand what happened. Ex Machina was great. Annihilation, his second film, sucked, and now it looks like this film's not doing well either. Downton Abbey 2, in its second week of release, as I had mentioned, did see some pretty massive drops, but it's at $68.9 million, and it needs to make around $100 million to break even, and I think that is still very much on the table for this film as far as worldwide numbers. The Bad Guys at $197 million will easily cross $200 million in the next few days. Everything Everywhere All at Once at $65.6, so not the highest grossing film in the world, but hey, you know what? All that I really ever want for a film that's good is that it's able to make its money back. Because that means, hey, people liked your film enough to go see it, and it is going to be a film that is going to be bought a lot on physical media and is going to be rewatched several times. And again, if you've not seen this film yet, I recommend it. It is still at over 1,000 screens, so it should be playing in most areas, but it is still rather limited. And that's Sonic the Hedgehog 2, a film that I personally did not like. Not getting any updated numbers for this, so this film probably going to get a little bit closer to $400 million once we actually get some updated numbers for the entire weekend box office. And speaking of some box office numbers, let's look at the actual tracking. So with the new movie Top Gun Maverick, it is sitting at around $79.2 million in the red after only one weekend, which is why I suspect that this film will be able to get into the black probably after its second weekend of release, as I can see this film having a pretty strong hold, as the film has very positive word of mouth because it is a great film, and also because that is usually an indication that a film will have strong legs down the line. Bob's Burgers film at $13.3 million, no budget yet to talk about with that film, so can't say whether it's doing well or not. Downton Abbey at $68.9 is still $18.6 million in the red, but as I mentioned, we can project that the film will make somewhere between $98 and $137 million, meaning that it's going to either lose around $870,000 or make up to $22 million. So I think this film will break even, but there is a chance for this film to have some massive drop-offs, especially with the type of competition that we are seeing. 2,000 Mules, I know some people care about that. It's at $1.2 billion, and that's just from box office receipts. That does not include what it made through Rumble. Men, at its second week of release, making that $5.9 million, is projected to make between $8 and $11 million, but we don't have a budget yet for the film, so who knows whether or not that film is going to be doing that well at all. I do have other numbers that have updates. As I mentioned, Doctor Strange 2, $221 million in net gain profits. It is still hovering around 79%, though, compared to its first 2 weeks, so if it is still going to hang around that, basically if every week it only drops by maybe a percentage, or even less than that, like doesn't even drop at all, that means that this film is going to drop around 70% from its first 2 weeks of release, which means that you're looking at a film capping out somewhere around 982. So that's the reason why you're seeing some industry experts say 950 is more realistic and $1 billion is a lot less realistic. And I would say based on these numbers, unless we get any updates and these numbers are behind internationally, then I could totally see this film also not quite reaching $1 billion, but again, I still think it's possible. What are y'all's thoughts about this? Let me know in the comment section down below. Have you seen Top Gun Maverick? It is fantastic. I highly recommend it. So glad to see it doing as well as it is at the box office because, hey, these are the kinds of films that we need to support. It's not just a situation where, oh, well, it's not woke, right? That's a good thing, obviously, that it's not, but it's a good movie to boot, and that's something that we don't get a lot of, unfortunately, in the modern day and age. So anyway, let me know your thoughts about this and anything else I mentioned in the comment section down below. If you like this video, smash that like button, lap that fire button on Odyssey. Y'all all amazing and beautiful people. Go check me out over at OMB Reviews if you want a fuller breakdown of more films included. And anyway, as always, God bless.